One day, when I got home, my room was completely empty. What's going on? What does this mean? I wondered in shock. Suddenly, my brother's wife appeared behind me with a triumphant smile on her face. Inferno, old maid like you is a nonsense. Get out of here, she said. She was trying to kick me out in my own home and take over everything. I couldn't let her get away with this. I had to investigate her evil schemes thoroughly. My name is Iris, and I just turned 40. I'm a single working woman. It's not like I never had any good opportunity to meet someone, but for various reasons, I never got married. Sometimes I feel lonely, but I've come to accept that marriage isn't everything in life at my age. Being single has its perks, and I also have to take care of my elderly mother. I have a brother who lives far away from home to pursue his career, and our father passed away 3 years ago, leaving our mother to live alone. Living not far from my hometown, I became concerned about my elderly mother's well-being, so I decided to move in with her. Now, the two of us enjoyed our leisurely and peaceful days as women. However, my mother, while still sharp in her mind, broke her leg a year ago and has been physically impaired ever since. It's difficult for her to walk with a cane, so she relies on a car or a wheelchair for transportation. She needs assistance with many things, even within the house, so I've become her caregiver. I'm able to do this because I'm single and living with her. If I were married or living far away, it would have been quite challenging. That's why I'm grateful for my single status. Yes, I am satisfied with my decision. However, not everyone is happy about it. My sister-in-law, who is in her early 30s and younger than me, is against it. My brother's marriage is a little unconventional because of their age gap, but she is still technically my sister-in-law. Although they live far away, they visit us during the New Year and Bon Festival holidays. But for some reason, my sister-in-law always directs her anger towards me whenever they come to visit. This year, during their New Year's visit, my sister-in-law approached me and whispered in my ear, "Are you still living with your parents, Iris?" "I'm not exactly living with them, Pierce." "You're over 40, single, and living with your parents. You're nothing but a parasite." "Is that so?" "Yes, it is. I have 3 kids to raise, you know." "Do you understand what that means?" "What do you mean?" "Japan's population is declining. We're doing our part to keep it growing. And people like you who choose to stay single are a real problem." "A problem? Do you think it's fun to decrease the population?" "Is there any point in being born if you just stay single your whole life?" She went too far. "At least try having 1 child, won't you?" Her words cut me deep. I want to get married and have children, but my body had a problem. To put it simply, I couldn't give birth. When he asked me out, I told him about my issue right away. I said, "I can't have children, but I still want to get married." He replied, "I just want to be with you. We can be happy together, even without kids." Iris went along with a marriage because he asked her to, but she soon realized that marriage wasn't something that could be kept between just 2 people. After going through a lot of hardships, she ended up single. She was at a loss for words when her sister-in-law, who had a terrible way of speaking, spoke to her. Despite this, her sister-in-law always seemed to pick on her. "Since we have 3 children, you should give them a lot of money for New Year's, and a gift for their enrollment should be at least 100,000 yen. I hope you're not too poor to afford that, Auntie. Don't you want to give your children a decent education? You wouldn't understand because you don't have any kids of your own. Well, to let you experience the joy of raising our kids, you should pay for their lessons." It seems like her sister-in-law was using her kids to provoke her. Iris decided to give the New Year's money and their enrollment gift. But is it really fair for her to check the amount I gave her and then click her tongue in dissatisfaction? And on top of that, why would I have to pay for her children's extracurricular activities? Even when I consulted with my mother and brother about it, they didn't see the same behavior from their sister-in-law,
and looked at me as if I were lying. Yes, she always makes those comments and gestures when it's just the two of us. Her capacity for rudeness knows no bounds. During last New Year's, when my nephew and niece received their New Year's gift money from me, she immediately opened and checked the amount right there on the spot. My brother and mother had stepped away for a moment to attend something. She said, "Huh? Only this much for New Year's gift money? How poor are you, you stinky woman?" I heard this and thought it would be a good idea to record her. However, I can't complain too much and risk damaging the relationship between my brother's family and me. After all, my mother loves her 3 grandchildren so much that if we were to argue and cause her risk, my mother might not be able to see them again. That would be too cruel for my mother, so I decided to keep my cool and just let it slide. I thought everything would work as long as I put up with it, but one day, everything changed.
It was a weekday when my sister-in-law visited. My brother was at work. I was working from home, and my mother was out of day services. The kids were at their daycare and would be taking care of my sister-in-law's parents. So she came along. I thought it was unusual, but then she said,
"Listen, I want us to live together in this house."
"What?" It was a bolt from the blue. What was she talking about out of the blue? What do you mean by living together? I mean, I want to live together in this house with our family. Who? Our family. Where? In this house. Why? Because I'm pregnant with our first child. What? My brother's family already has 3 kids, the oldest in elementary school, the middle child in kindergarten, and the youngest who recently started in daycare. With 3 kids already, she's pregnant with a 4th. I was impressed and amazed at the same time. Iris lives near the sister-in-law's parents, which is why they can take care of her children like today. But what's the benefit of moving all the way here? My brother Aiden is being transferred here, she said. Oh, I heard my brother mention that the other day. Apparently, the company opened a branch in their hometown. Who wants to work at the branch? Me! Someone volunteered without hesitation. Is such a trivial personal change good enough? Are you okay with it? Wouldn't it be better to stay near your parents' house? My parents are still working, so I can't rely on them too much. If I frequently ask them for help, they'll look unhappy. Besides, my husband should be the first one I ask for help. If we assume that we'll rely on our parents, they might tell us not to have children. It will be difficult to say that we're expecting our first child now. I understand where her parents are coming from. According to Iris' brother, he does all the cleaning, laundry, and even prepares dinner when he comes home from work. Her sister-in-law confirmed that it was true. Despite being tired from work, I think my brother has been taking good care of his wife to the best of his abilities. That's why whenever I see him, he always looks so exhausted. Still, it seems a little lacking in planning to have another child on top of that. But life is a gift, so I'm not about to suggest they don't have it. However, why would they choose to live with us at this time? My sister-in-law tilts her head and asks me this question. Dealing with our parents' interference is a pain, and besides, it's way too inconvenient other there in the countryside. I thought it would be a good idea for everyone to move here instead of just my husband to work. Well, there are many nurseries around here, so it's convenient. I say, exactly. So Iris, please move out soon. She said, huh?
Once again, it's a bolt from the blue. It's the second time she's brought up the idea of me moving out of the blue.
Let's talk about living together with my mother and brother. But why do I have to move out? Think about it. We're going to be a family of 6 soon. I see. So this house will be too small. Well, I guess so. That's why we're telling you to move out. I don't understand what you mean.
Living with a family of 6 is a lot. But it's not possible to make it work with 8 people, including my mother and me. Of course, it's not feasible to give each child their own room when they grow up, but I don't think it's worth worrying about that right now. As I looked even more puzzled, my sister-in-law became agitated and raised her voice. "That's why," she exclaimed, "useless old women like you, who can't even have children or contribute anything to the family, are just a burden."
Get out of here for our sake. Oh, and don't move too far away either. You still have to take care of our children. After saying such outrageous things, she emphasized once again, "Leave quickly," and left. This is a family meeting, isn't it? Yes. That night, I told my mother what my sister-in-law had said, and I even called my brother. As a result, he said he would provide us with a separate house.
Admittedly, I've been on business trip a lot, and I think I've caused my wife a lot of trouble. That's why we were living near her hometown. But why does she hate the countryside so much, even though it's her hometown? The phone call with my brother left me feel confused. The talk of living together seemed to be forgotten, and I couldn't shake off the feeling of unease. One day, after a long day of remote work, I decided to head into the office for a change. My mother was out for a day of respite care. When I returned home, exhausted from work, I was shocked to find that my room was empty. What the? Where did everything go? All of my possessions had vanished, leaving my room completely empty.
Panicking, I wondered where my favorite belongings had gone. "I threw them away," my sister-in-law said with a sneer. Suddenly, I heard a voice behind me and jumped out of my skin. It was my sister-in-law. "What's wrong, big sister? Why are you making such a commotion this late at night?" she asked. "You're so noisy." "You wake the kids up," she said. To which I replied, "What kids? You have 3 kids?"
Yes, and we don't have any beds until our new ones arrive, so we're sleeping on the living room sofa tonight,
she explained. In a panic, I rushed into the living room and saw my sleeping nephew and niece. "What is going on here?" Iris' sister-in-law sneered at her disbelief, saying, "You never leave home, so I had to take matters into my own hands. What is going on here?" "My brother and I have come to an understanding," Iris replied. "You really think you can get away with that selfish behavior? You have no idea how many people you've inconvenienced," her sister-in-law retorted. "Who's being selfish here? It's me who's been inconvenienced,"
Iris wanted to say, but she held back since her child was asleep.
Ignoring Iris' consideration, her sister-in-law shouted, "We don't care about your mother or your husband's opinions. If you move out, we can finally live here without any opposition from you two." "What did you do with my things?" "I had them all taken away by a scrap dealer." "What? You threw away everything, including my album?" Iris couldn't believe it. "Get out now! No more talking!" Her sister-in-law pushed her out with her youthful strength. It was nighttime, and Iris couldn't make a scene or get any response from the intercom or phone.
She had no choice but to spend the night at a business hotel. The next day, I bowed my head to my boss and got a paid vacation, then hurried home.
As I tried to open the door, my sister-in-law came out before me. "Oh, Iris! I tried to contact my husband, but I couldn't reach him. Let's talk about it anyway. If it's about my brother, he's on a long business trip overseas. It may be difficult to contact him because of the time difference to you." Okay. Leaving me there, dumbfounded, she quickly left, looking very fashionable.
Helplessly, I took care of her 3 children and greeted my mother with a bitter face when she returned in the evening.
"Hey, Mom, isn't this a little strange?" "Yes, it is. Ignoring Aiden's opinion and being too forceful. Leaving 3 kids alone and going out like that is unacceptable. If you want someone to take care of them, Why not leave them with your parents? Exactly. What are the benefits of living here anyway? Come to think of it, she dressed up quite fashionably for the outing. That's right, there may be some hint there. Agreeing with my mother's words, I immediately contacted a private investigator to conduct an investigation. A month later, I found myself living in a temporary apartment for singles, which I had hurriedly searched for. My room in my parents' house had been completely remodeled by my brother's wife, and it was unrecognizable from its previous appearance. My brother was furious with her for doing such a selfish thing, but she claims that once she started living here, it became her property. Moreover, she says, "You're busy with work and not at home much. I thought it would be better for the family to stay together, but raising kids is real tough, so it's only natural for you to live with us and help out." My mother said she needed care and even said, "Well, since Iris is always at home doing nothing, she can take care of me."
But just because I mainly work from home doesn't mean I'm not busy. Still, my sister-in-law refuses to let me move back home.
But I won't let her selfishness continue forever. "Let's talk about it," I said. And without waiting for my brother to respond, I arranged for a family meeting today. "What is it? Hurry up and finish. It's bad for the baby," my sister-in-law grumbled while rubbing her still flat belly. Ignoring her, 4 adults, my brother, mother, sister-in-law, and I sat face to face in the living room. By the way, the 3 children were in daycare. "First of all, sister, you need to apologize for disposing of my personal belongings without my permission," I said. My sister-in-law snorted in response. "It's your fault for not leaving sooner," she said without any hint or remorse. "Someone like you who can't even have kids should be living in a dirty apartment somewhere."
It's true that I can't have children, but I was living with our mother,
I said. And for her, being able to live with her grandchildren is happier than living with me. My sister-in-law looked at my mother as she spoke. Mother said, "I'm happy to have my grandchildren live with us," but upon hearing this, my sister-in-law made a smug face and said,
"See, I told you, it's much more meaningful for us to live together than with someone as unproductive as you."
But, ignoring my sister-in-law's words, my mother continued, "It'll be different if I were a real grandchild." "Huh?" My sister-in-law looked bewildered, unable to understand my mother's words. At the moment, my brother handed her a lunch envelope. "What is this?" "Result of your affair investigation," my brother replied quietly. "What?" My sister-in-law was surprised and looked at my brother, but he continued his words calmly. "Did you think no one would notice?" "What are you talking about? I'm not having an affair." "Is that so? Then are these photos photoshopped?" Iris' brother spread out several photos from the envelope on the desk in front of his denying sister-in-law. In the photos, there was a scene of his sister-in-law and someone making intimate, causing her to exclaim, "What? Wait! No way!" "I had a feeling that something was off," said her brother, "especially after you forcefully moved here from your parents, who could take care of your child." "But living in the city is more convenient," she retorted. "However, you're still leaving childcare to Iris instead of using childcare services," he pointed out. "I want to take a break too," she complained. "Well, you could just use childcare services like you did today," he suggested. "But it's a waste of money," she protested. "I think I gave you enough money," he replied. "And you say you are saving for the future. What's with your bank account being empty?" He then opened her bank book, which was indeed empty. "Why are you looking at it without permission?" she demanded. "It's our family's money, so I have the right to see it. So where's the money you're saving for the future?" he asked. It's in a different account," she hesitated. "Oh, I see. Then show me the statement," he demanded. "I don't have it with me right now." "Where is it then?" I have been watching as my sister-in-law continued to lie, but in the end,
She choked on words, even though she wasn't visibly agitated.
sweat had begun to bead on her forehead. Is it because of the ceiling? In that instant, my brother slammed his hand on the desk. Cut a crap already. Do you really think you can still make excuses in front of this picture? I'm sorry, I acted in impulse. I heard from the guy you've been seeing since we moved here, even from the beginning of your marriage. He told me everything, even though he has a family of his own, and asked me not to tell you.
What? You are lying. Why would you talk to him?
Because he doesn't want his family to fall apart. He gave me all the details on the condition that I wouldn't tell you.
What? He betrayed me.
You're the one who betrayed us. My sister-in-law panicked at the sight of my brother's furious expression, but eventually calmed down and sweat on her forehead stopped. I know I was wrong for cheating. I won't do it again. That's a given.
But I don't think we should give a divorce. It's better for the child to stay with their mother. And besides, I'm carrying a new life in my belly. I don't want to be separated from my child.
With that, my sister-in-law looked at me. Children can be expected from an unprotected daughter, and if she divorces and takes her child with her, I'll never be able to hold a grandchild again. Is that okay, you mother? With these words, she turned to face her mother. Seeing our science, my sister-in-law grinned triumphantly. See, unprotected old women are just a nonsense. It's only natural that such people leave. Breathing heavily, she puffed out her chest. But then it happened. Mother said quietly, well then, for me, you who are completely unprotected should also live with your child. My sister-in-law smirked as if she had the upper hand. Huh? What are you talking about? My brother handed her some documents. What is this? Huh? The result of the paternity test. What is this? A denial. It's the result of DNA test between me and the children. Suddenly, that's none of your business. Anyway, the results are in. None of 3 kids are mine. And here are the results for you and your cheating partner. Positive. Meaning the kid is definitely yours. None of the 3 kids are mine. Which means they're not even your mother's grandkids. They're a stranger to her. Liar! I'm not lying. You knew, didn't you? You knew you were cheating and still let me think they were mine. The guy who cheated with said, you told me how sad it was that you couldn't live with your family because they are his kids. My brother's wife looked like she was about to faint from shock. My mother delivered a final blow to her. That's why you can't even produce my son's child, are just a hindrance. Get out of here with the kids. How can you just throw us out like this? What about these young children? You heartless people! My brother's wife tried to garner sympathy, but then the deep voice that wasn't ours reverberated through the room, interrupting her. You are the heartless one. It was my father who stood tall behind her. Why are you here? And mom too? Yes, her own parents were standing there. I explained the situation, and they said they would take all the children. What kind of embarrassing story is this for a parent to have? I'm sorry, it seems that my sister-in-law can't stand up to her father. She was crying, with a blue face and runny nose. 89 years. I'm truly sorry for our foolish daughter. We will definitely pay compensation. Wait a minute, I can't pay compensation like that. How is my father going to pay for it? Of course not. I'm rebuilded. But it will take you a lifetime to pay for it.
My father took my crying sister-in-law away without saying a word.
My mother was bowing deeply and apologizing to us. They're decent parents, but I can't believe they raised such a daughter. Parenting is difficult. I found myself thinking about it somewhere carelessly. After that, my brother got divorced safely. It seems like the money he spent on compensation and infidelity was paid a lump sum by his ex-wife's parents who rebuilt the house. The children were taken by their grandparents, since they had been frequently left in their care before. The children seem to be growing up healthy without any confusion. The children are innocent. My brother, who had always thought of them as his own, said so with a little loneliness in his voice. It's not like you can suddenly accept being told that they're someone else's. I hope my brother's emotional wounds will heal someday. As for my ex-sister-in-law, she gave birth to her fourth child, and when I checked just to be sure, it turned out that he wasn't my brother's child after all. Under the strict supervision of her parents, she worked desperately from morning till night for a while. But it seems like she continued her relationship with her lover without any remorse. In the end, the situation was exposed to his wife, and not only did it become a huge commotion, but he also had to pay a large amount of compensation. Her parents even kicked her out of the house. No one knows what happened to her after that. As for me, I'm still taking care of my mother and living a peaceful life. Actually, I was able to retrieve all of the personal belongings that she had disposed of by contracting the scrap dealer on the same day. On one such peaceful day, a familiar face appeared before me. "Long time no see," he said with a smile. It was him, the man I had considered marrying in the past. "I couldn't forget about you." And even my parents finally gave in to me being single. My younger brother got married and had a child. But there are also other personal reasons why I'm deciding to get married. I'm free to marry anyone I want. I was stunned by his sudden proposal and a ring he presented to me. It might be too late, but I can't imagine being with anyone else but you. I want to take care of your mother with you. So will you marry me? Overcome with emotion, tears streamed down my face as I leaped into his arms, knowing I didn't need to think twice about my answer.